Historically, advanced societies that wanted to have a government of the people and by the people gradually entrusted the management of the state to a group, a council or a parliament. In ancient Rome or Greece, or in London, Paris, or Washington in more recent times, modern democracies have designated a place where elected citizens, on behalf of the nation, could scrutinize the government's actions, analyze and make legislation, and receive the oath of the king or president as head of the executive branch. There, majority against the opposition, they engage in debate about the future of the country, its budget, its domestic and foreign policy, and so on. This is the common house of all the citizens, which is why it is called the Palace of the Nation. Ours dates from 1779 and is the work of French architect Barnabé Guimard. Originally, the palace housed the Sovereign Council of Brabant. In 1830, after the revolutionary days of September, when the tumultuous events took place just a few meters below its windows, the building became the formal site of the National Congress, which would give the newborn nation of Belgium a parliamentary monarchy and one of the most liberal and modern constitutions of its time. For a long time, it remained the envy of many countries and was emulated around the world. Since the swearing-in of the first king of the Belgians, Leopold of Saxe-Coburg, at the Place Royale on the 21st of July, 1831, and the establishment of the Parliament that same year in the Palace of the Nation, the executive branch and the legislature have faced each other from opposite sides of the Royal Park in Brussels. The Parliament has two chambers, the Senate and the House of Representatives. And it is here, to the House of Representatives, that we send our representatives, once known as deputies, based on federal elections which are held in principle every 4 years. Currently, there are 150 members of the House. Members sit in this beautiful debating chamber built by Van der Straten shortly after the 1830 revolution. Each member physically occupies a seat which is assigned to him or her, and members belonging to the same party or who have the same political leanings come together to form a political group or parliamentary group. Within these groups, discussions take place and political strategies are defined for introducing, analyzing, and voting bills into law. The parliamentary year or session traditionally opens, in accordance with the Constitution, on the second Tuesday of October and begins with the definitive election of the House Board. Elected members then examine the priorities of the government and start work on the evaluation and ratification of the budget for the following year, a state budget that they endeavor to adopt by December 31st. At the start of the session, the deputies elect a president from among their ranks. The president sits atop the pyramid in the president's chair overlooking the speakers to symbolize the power and sovereign authority of the nation over its directly elected representatives. The role of the president of the House is vital. He or she represents the House and is its official spokesperson. In consultation with the presidents of the parliamentary groups meeting within the Conference of Presidents, the President of the House directs and coordinates the work, keeps order, and may even refer to the Supreme Administrative Court to seek their opinion on the validity of a private member's or government bill. The President serves, in a way, as the arbiter of debates and the time allotted to each subject. It is the President who is the first to consider oral parliamentary questions to the government and judge their admissibility. The essential role of the House is to serve as a counterweight to the executive branch, acting as the sole entity responsible for evaluating the government's work in accordance with Article 101 of the Constitution. This is done through questions and parliamentary debate, interrogations, votes of confidence, and the vote on the adoption of budgets. The government sits on benches reserved for it, facing the Speaker's chair, that is to say, facing the President and the lectern of the member making a speech. The House also adopts laws. It may receive a bill from the government or introduce a private member's bill, which has to be examined in committee, debated, and, if appropriate, passed. At any time, the members may challenge the government as a whole, even raising the issue of confidence in the government, which involves a vote. A quite different exercise consists of putting a parliamentary question to one minister in particular, because problems have arisen and clarification is required, or because the member wishes to bring something to the attention of the minister or obtain additional information. Questions may be asked either in plenary session or in a public meeting of one of the House committees. A parliamentary question and its answer do not lead as such to a vote or raise the issue of confidence in the government. The minister who has received the question may decide to respond to the member either at the lectern or from his or her seat on the government bench when the exchange is very brief. The House of Representatives is divided into at least two parts. There is what is known as the government majority, which is all the members of Parliament that comprise or support the government. Sometimes broader majorities may be formed. This is the case for major structural reforms of the state. Some votes are free votes, i.e. left to the judgment of members. This is especially the case in certain ethical or moral debates. The opposition sits beside the majority. The opposition consists of parties who oppose the government. The votes of opposition are counted together, like those of the majority. Members discuss the state accounts called the federal finances. Estimates of revenue and authorizations of expenditure together form the federal budget. To verify public spending, the House may ask for assistance from the Court of Auditors, which also makes an annual report and can have relevant matters referred to it. The vote on the annual federal budget is a very important political exercise. The presidency of the House, like the presidency of the Senate, has a residence at its disposal, with meeting rooms, official reception rooms, the services of the presidency and the board, where the president in office works or receives visitors. The mansion or residence has its own entrance and grand staircase. Its official rooms and offices are decorated with works that form a part of the artistic heritage of the state. It is also a showcase for the richness and cultural diversity of the federal entities. The President can thus refer to the symbolism and importance of these works to visiting dignitaries. The President of the House is, in all cases, the spokesman and representative of the institution. As previously mentioned, he is the arbiter of House debates and proceedings. Questions or legislative proposals are submitted to him. His job consists in working with the board and the Conference of Presidents to optimize the parliamentary agenda, bearing in mind the priorities of the majority, but without neglecting the rights of the minority or opposition parties. The process of passing a bill is longer and more complex than one